Today we're embarking on a fascinating journey through the intellectual origins of the Jewish state, exploring the complex and often paradoxical roots of Zionism. Our guide on this journey is the insightful work of historian Shlomo Avineri in his book The Making of Modern Zionism, The Intellectual Origins of the Jewish State. Now, when we think of Zionism, we often think of a movement driven by a deep and unyielding connection to the land of Israel. And indeed, that connection is at the heart of the story. For millennia, the Jewish people have maintained a profound bond with their ancestral homeland, a bond expressed through prayer, tradition, and a small but continuous Jewish presence in Palestine. Yet, as Avineri points out, this emotional and cultural link didn't translate into large-scale emigration or practical action for most of history. Despite the annual mourning for Jerusalem's destruction and prayers for deliverance, the majority of Jews didn't move to Palestine in significant numbers. So, what changed? What transformed this quietistic belief into an active pursuit of national restoration? The answer lies in the emergence of Zionism as an organized political movement in the 19th century. This shift, Avineri argues, was nothing short of revolutionary. It marked a fundamental change in how Jews related to their historical connection with Israel, transforming a long-standing spiritual yearning into a concrete plan for the establishment of a Jewish state. But here's where things get really interesting. This duality of deep historical ties alongside centuries of practical distance is central to understanding Zionism's unique nature. It's a paradox that shaped the movement's evolution and its impact on Jewish identity and the broader narrative of modern nation-states. Avineri delves into this multifaceted texture, examining the various intellectual currents that contributed to the Zionist movement's emergence as a powerful force for change. Now let's talk about the religious aspect. Jewish religious thought for a long time had a theoretical construct that actually legitimized passivity. The idea was that divine providence, not human intervention, should determine when and how the Jews would be redeemed from exile and returned to Zion. This created a fascinating paradox. A deep feeling of attachment to the land of Israel, which became perhaps the most distinctive feature of Jewish self-identity, coexisting with a quietistic attitude toward any practical or operational consequences of this commitment. It wasn't until the second half of the 19th century that an active movement for Jewish return to Palestine began to take shape. This movement, which culminated in the emergence of Zionism as a political force, and the establishment of the State of Israel, dramatically changed the course of Jewish history and the nature of the bond between Jews and the land of Israel. But why did this happen in the 19th century? Why not earlier? Avineri challenges the common explanation that links the emergence of Zionism to the outbreak of anti-Semitism in the late 19th century. While anti-Semitism certainly played a role, Avineri argues that it doesn't fully explain the timing or the nature of the Zionist movement. After all, Jews had faced persecution long before the rise of racist anti-Semitism in the 19th century. From the Visigoths and Byzantines to the Crusades, expulsions, and pogroms, Jewish history is a chronicle of discrimination. Yet these persecutions didn't lead to a mass return to Palestine. So, what was different in the 19th century? Avineri suggests that the answer lies in the broader social, political, and intellectual changes sweeping across Europe. The 19th century was, in many ways, the best century Jews had ever experienced, collectively and individually, since the destruction of the Temple. With the French Revolution and emancipation, Jews were allowed for the first time into European society on an equal footing. They gained equality before the law, and schools, universities, and the professions were gradually opened to them. This newfound freedom and opportunity, however, came with its own set of challenges. The Enlightenment and secularization changed the way Jews perceived themselves and how they were perceived by non-Jewish communities. No longer defined primarily by their religious beliefs, Jews faced a new dilemma of identity. They were now part of a world that was increasingly defined by nationalism, ethnicity, and cultural identity. This is where the Zionist movement found its footing. It was a response to the challenges of liberalism and nationalism, a quest for self-determination and liberation under the modern conditions of secularization. Avineri emphasizes that Zionism is not just a reaction to anti-Semitism, but a complex movement that draws on a historical bond with the ancestral land of Israel, while adapting to the realities of the 19th and 20th centuries. One of the most intriguing aspects of Avineri's analysis is his exploration of the intellectual currents that shaped Zionist thought. He delves into the works of figures like Nachman Krochmal, who attempted to reconcile Jewish identity with the dominant European philosophical traditions of the 19th century. Krochmal's work, The Guide to the Perplexed of Our Time, is a fascinating blend of Jewish tradition and Hegelian philosophy, offering a unique perspective on the survival of the Jewish people and the universal nature of their contribution to world history. Avineri also discusses the impact of Heinrich Greitz, whose monumental History of the Jews played a crucial role in shaping the view of Jews as a nation, with a historical continuity and a story unfolding in time and place. Greitz's work challenged the traditional Orthodox view of Judaism as an unchanging religious structure, and the Reform movement's conception of Judaism as a mere moral and spiritual vision. Another key figure in Avineri's narrative is Moses Hess, whose book Roman Jerusalem called for a solution to the Jewish problem through the establishment of a Jewish socialist commonwealth in Palestine. Hess's work is a unique synthesis of socialism and Jewish nationalism, offering a vision of a society that combines national particularity with a universal vision. Avineri then turns to the political Zionism of Theodor Herzl, who, as the convenor of the First Zionist Congress and the founder of the World Zionist Organization, is often seen as the father of modern political Zionism. Herzl's The Jewish State and Alt-Neuland are analyzed as visionary works that not only describe a society that would be a refuge for Jews, but also build it up as a model of social justice, drawing on the socialist utopian literature of the 19th century. Avineri also explores the contributions of Max Nordau, who in his speeches and writings criticized the impact of emancipation on Jewish life, and called for a re-evaluation of Jewish identity in the modern age. Nordau's vision of Zionism as a return to Jewish identity from the atomized anomie of emancipation resonates with the broader themes of Avineri's analysis. Finally, Avineri discusses the contributions of Asher Ginsberg, who wrote under the pseudonym Ahad Ha'am, and his concept of spiritual Zionism, which emphasized the cultural and spiritual dimensions of Jewish nationalism. Ahad Ha'am's critique of Herzl's political Zionism and his call for a focus on the cultural and spiritual development of the Jewish people in Palestine highlight the diversity of thought within the Zionist movement. In conclusion, Avineri's work offers a rich and nuanced exploration of the intellectual origins of Zionism, highlighting the complex interplay of historical, cultural, and political forces that shaped the movement. It reminds us that Zionism is not a monolithic ideology, but a dynamic and evolving response to the challenges of modernity and the enduring quest for Jewish self-determination. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the intellectual origins of the Jewish state. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And don't forget to tune in next time as we continue to explore the stories that shape our world. Until then, keep learning and stay curious.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book The Making of Modern Zionism, The Intellectual Origins of the Jewish State by Shlomo Avineri. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.